which is reasonably good for signal processing applications. The three subfamilies are there. One is called MSP430 1XX, which is a basic. 3 is having more advanced features, and 4 series has a built-in LCD driver. So while buying, you need to look for not only MSP430 and its suffix. The suffix meaning is after MSP430, the first one talks about the memory type. That is, you want to have a inbuilt ROM, flash, one-time programmable, or EPROM. You need to specify MSP430. For example, usually we buy MSP430F. That is because we want to have a flash MSP430. Similarly, the other two digits FAFB, that is about the functional units which are inbuilt. Whether you want basic unit or you want to have a hardware multipliers or LCD controllers and so on. So the basic functions are optional. You have to choose based on your application. And the last suffix is about the amount of memory capacity. For example, if you want, let us say, 48 kilobytes of memory, then MSP430F148. So the last digits will talk about the amount of flash memory, and then of course plus the RAM space. So this is the various numbering convention followed by Texas MSP430 controllers. So this is, I mean, you can see the roadmap of MSP. They are available in 3.1 series, which is having an LCD driver inbuilt. 1X is a base model where there is no inbuilt LCD driver, but however it is rich in peripherals. And then this 5 series goes up to 30 million instructions per second and huge amount of flash and the RAM space. So based on your application, one can choose the corresponding MSP430 series controller. There are number of applications which are majorly you can look for medium signal processing applications like data loggers or temperature measurement systems, weighing scales, or biomedical applications, where most of the cases what you can see is these are all battery operated systems. So you can refer the MSP data sheets, application notes on the Texas Instrument website ti.com. MSP 430 uses von Neumann architecture. That means whether you interface the program memory or you interface the data memory, in both the cases the buses are common. So that is, there is only one address bus and one data bus for interfacing the flash, RAM, and peripherals. So being a RISC controller, you will have rich registers. And another unique feature is, though it is a low cost controller but and medium signal processor, but still it has a inbuilt JTAG emulator for testing and debugging purpose. If you look at the data sheet of MSP430 controller, we refer, let us say, 1.6 series of MSP430 as we use in the labs. So it operates from 1.8 volts to 3.6 volts. Anywhere you can operate this device. Now if you see the power consumption modes, in active mode when you are operating at 1 megahertz, it consumes around 330 microamperes for 2.2 volts power supply. Or else in standby mode or off mode, as you can see, with RAM retention 0.2 microamperes, which is very less as compared to many of the microcontrollers. And the power saving modes are important because this is majorly meant for like a wireless sensor networks. So you can program through software, you can program it for less power consumption. Since it is a 16-bit RISC controller and it can instruction cycle time is 125 nanoseconds. It has inbuilt DMA controller with 3 channels. 12-bit A to D converter is good enough for most of the low-end signal processing applications with sample and hold, auto scan features. And then very rarely microcontrollers have DTA converter. MSP430 has a inbuilt 12-bit DTA converter. There are 16-bit timers, timer A and timer B, with various modes of operation like capture, compare, and so on. Two serial ports are there, USART0, USRT1. Plus, it also has a serial peripheral interface and I2C inbuilt inside the chip. The other good feature of this controller is there is a bootstrap loader, which is one of the unique feature of MSP430, where without having a JTAG emulator, still you can debug your programs. MSP430 is a family of various controllers. As you can see, the amount of flash, amount of RAM is different for different range of controllers. For example, MSP430 has 48 kilobytes of flash memory and 2 kilobytes of RAM space. The packages is a 64-pin package, and different packages are available. Usually we use quad flat pack, which has pins on 4 sides. So this is the package where, as you can see, the pin number, the one where you can see the dot, or this notch will be there while identifying the controller. These are the family of MSP430. So about MSP430 Now if you see the features of MSP430 series, first of all, the oscillator. One should carefully look at the oscillator of MSP430, because as you can see, X in X out is one clock source, X2 in X2 out is other clock source. Our oscillator is in the third one, there is a feedback. And then if you see the clocks, there is a auxiliary clock, there is a SM clock, there is a master clock. So there are 3 clock sources from here itself. So there is a possibility of choosing your own clock based on your operation mode. Then it has registers, 16-bit registers are there, 16 registers are there, and hardware multiplier, which is again a unique feature, where hardware multiplier means it will take only one machine cycle to complete the complete multiplication. So that is called hardwired multiplier. There is a JTAG emulator is there, where the standard pins like TDO, TDI, TMS, TCK are meant for testing and debugging the controller. And if you look at the memory, based on the family you have selected, the flash is available from 32K to 60 kilobytes of flash memory. Again, RAM is available up to 2 kilobytes of RAM. And as you can see, it's very good, rich in peripherals. The peripherals are like ADC, which is a 12-bit, 8 channels. The conversion time is less than 10 microseconds. There is a 12-bit DAC, 2 channels, which is a voltage output. 12-bit DAC is available. And then DMA controller, watchdog timers, timer A, timer B. So all of them are connected to 16-bit data bus. And the I/O ports. Controllers are usually known for input output lines. So this controller has 6 I/O ports. So 6 into 8 is the number of I/O lines are available for interfacing various input output devices like LEDs, LCDs, switches, sensors, and so on. And similarly, the other peripherals like serial communication, USART0, USART1, and SPI I2C comparator. So these are all connected to 8-bit data bus. And the operating supply of this DVCC is, we usually operate at 3.3 volts supply, and there is a reset pin which is a active low signal. As you can see from the pin functions, most of the pins have multiple functions which is mentioned with a forward slash. The A to D converter is there on port 6. So port 6 has act as a IO port, but it also act as a A0 to A7, which is a to D converters, 8 channels. However, the last two 6, that is port 6.6 and 6.7, also act as a D to A converter. So DAC0, DAC1 is available on 6.6 and 6.7. If you look at the registers of MSP430 controller, MSP430 has 16 registers, 16-bit register, which is rich in registers. However, you cannot use the first 4 registers because they have some other function. Like R0 also majorly it used for as a program counter. Then R1 act as a stack pointer. Then R2 also used as a status register or constant generator, where you can have some constants, preloaded constants, or status act as a flag register, which is very important register. Then R3 is again as a general purpose register or a constant generator. So first these 4 registers have multiple functions. However, R4 to R15 are general purpose registers which can be used in the program for storing the data temporarily. The addressing modes are all the addressing modes as listed here, like register, indexed, relative, absolute, indirect auto increment, and immediate operation. As can be seen from the table, the syntax is the first is mnemonic is the source and second is the destination. Like in case of a register, the contents of, if you say move R10 comma R11, that means contents of R10 is loaded in R11 register, and so on. Similarly, you can have a index value specified as a part of the instruction. So the resultant address, that is R5 plus 2. So whatever is that memory indicates from the contents of that memory location will be transferred to the destination memory location address, whose address is specified by R6 plus index value. So these are the indexed addressing. In absolute, you can specify the some labels with a ampersand symbol, so that contents of the memory location whose address is specified by these labels will be transferred to the memory location whose address is specified by this label. Similarly, in indirect addressing mode, you can have the address in a register. So at the rate, when you are saying, that means that register will have the address of the memory location. And indirect with auto increment means you can also specify plus, so that it will automatically increment by 2, so that it will load in the other register for storing the or moving the data. Immediate is hash symbol. If you specify the hash symbol, then the value is loaded into the register or to the memory location, because it is a data is part of the instruction. There are 6 operating modes for MSP430 controller. Look at the modes of operation. They are nothing but operating the clock sources. Say for example, in active mode, all clocks are active. But however, if you see other modes, low power modes, LPM modes, in LPM 0, CPU is disabled. Is is because auxiliary clock and SM clock remain active. However, master clock is disabled. So that means peripherals are active but CPU is disabled. Similarly, in LPM1, CPU is disabled. Now, as you can see, MC clock is disabled and at the same time DCO, that is the internal clock source generator, DC generator, disabled. Similarly LPM2, LPM3, LPM4. So these 6 modes are having option of choosing at a given point of time which clock source to be active, and so that and disable the other clock sources so that you can save the power. So in short, that is the meaning of uh, operating modes of MSP 430 to make it low power modes. The interrupts of MSP 430, the unique feature of MSP 430 interrupts is, other than the peripherals interrupts, the microcontroller has IO port 1, IO port 2, which act as the interrupt sources. As you can see, entire port 2 is using interrupts, and entire port 1 also act as a interrupts IO pins. If you see the interrupt vector table, which is starting from FFE0 to FFFFE, is the address, that is FFFFF, is the address of the interrupt vector table of MSP 430 controller. That is the last available address range of this 16-bit address space. And the priorities is, the last location is meant for external reset. So there is a reset pin on the microcontroller which is active low signal. So whenever it is received, then it will make a jump to FFFFE memory location. So this is the highest priority of the among the interrupt resources. Similarly, the timers, comparators, and A to D converters, serial ports, DMA controller, they have interrupt sources, including D to A converter. The lowest priority is for the D to A converter, where the address is starting FFFFE0. So the though port 1 and port 2 has interrupts, but there is a register which can be used to mask the interrupts whenever you want to disable the interrupt, except the reset, which is non-maskable, and NMI. If you look at the memory mapping of the MSP430 controller, MSP430F14168 series controllers, the 168 has 48 kilobytes of memory, which is flash, starting from 04000 to FFFF is the address of the flash memory. So interrupt vector is again a flash starting from FFFFE0 to FFFFF, and the code memory, program memory, starting from 04000 to FFFFF. And the other memory, which is a flash and ROM space, is there 256 bytes and 1 kilobytes, which is available from 01000 to 010FF and 0C00 to FFFF. And the RAM space, where you can store the dynamic variables, that is available 2 kilobytes of memory space from 0200 to 09FF, which also can be used as a stack space. The peripherals, there are 16-bit peripherals, there are 8-bit peripherals and SFRs, where the starting from 000 to 01FF is reserved for the peripherals of the microcontroller. If you carefully look at the IO pins, specifically like port 1 and port 2, they have interrupt as a resource. So they also have a simple input output line, but they also act as a interrupt pins. Say for example, if you see, every pin has multiple functions. Either it can act as a simple input output line, or also like in this case port 1, it also like a module X or some other like serial ports, timers and so on. So multiple functions will be there. So based on the P1 select register, so this register will decide whether this pin is a IO pin or this pin is a special function pin. And the direction pin will decide whether the direction of the data. So see, whenever the direction bit is set, as you can see the tri-state buffer, this pin will decide whether the data direction is a output port or the data direction is a input port. So that is the direction. Then there is a out register where whatever you write the data into this register, as you can see, the data is available at the output pin. And similarly, if you want to read the data, then whatever your data you are reading, as you can see, complemented state of the direction is connected to this tri-state buffer. So now whatever is the data is available in at the input, that is available at the in pin register. So now basically we have four registers. The select register will decide the functionality of the port, whether it is a simple input output or whether it is a special function we are using. The direction register will decide whether the data is flowing from the controller to the outside world or the data is coming from the outside world to the inside the controller. And third is P1 out register. Whatever you write the data into this register, the data available at the output pin. And P1 in register, whatever the data available on the port pin, you can read the data. Similarly, we also has a provision for using this in the input mode, specifically only for input mode. You can also use as an interrupt resource. That means whenever there is a change in state is there, then first of all you can choose the sensitivity of that pin, whether edge triggered or a level triggered. So sensitivity you can decide. After that, whenever a interrupt is received, interrupt flag will be set and interrupt request will be generated. So a ISR will be executed whenever a interrupt is sensed. So it is a vectored interrupt location. So that is one unique feature of MSP430 microcontroller. The IO pins, specifically port 1 and port 2, they are not only input output lines, but you can also use as a interrupt resources. That means 8 into 2, 16 interrupts, hardware interrupts are there in MSP430 microcontroller. One of the most important feature of MSP430 is about its internal clock generator. As you can see from the figure where the clock sources, there are two clock sources. One is X in, other is X2 in, where you can by through control register you can selectively make them on and off, oscillator off or X2 oscillator off. So these clock sources, that is Xn in, where the output of this oscillator act as a auxiliary clock, and with the help of this control register you can choose the dividing factor so that auxiliary clock can be a programmable. Similarly, X2 in, the another crystal oscillator, main system clock oscillator source, you can externally interface, and that again can be through multiplexer is selectable or divisible. And finally the main system clock oscillator is can be like CPU can be make on and off. So this is in the power saving modes. So this is the one which is making the CPU on and off with the help of the status register. So the select pins can choose which is the clock source for the master clock. One, it can be a auxiliary clock as can be seen from this, or it can be a xt2 as a clock source, or it can be an internal oscillator. As you can see, there is a DC generator where there is a RC. You can externally connect a resistor to this circuit, which can generate clock internally without having any external clock source, and again can be divisible, which act as a subsystem clock source. That means now even this clock also can be selected, which act as a main system clock for the CPU. So in short, a CPU can operate either on main clock or a low frequency crystal FX61 or a internal clock oscillator which is generated by RC components. So whenever you reset the microcontroller, the first thing one has to choose is choose the oscillator for the main system clock. And similarly for the peripherals, you can choose your auxiliary clock and the dividing factor so that the various devices are operating on various clock sources at any given point of time. So in conclusion, the MSP 430 has 27 instructions, which is a RISC architecture, and 7 addressing mode. It uses orthogonal architecture. It means that every instruction can use every addressing mode. That is the flexibility of orthogonal architecture. Then it has rich in registers. 16 registers are there, including program counter, status register, and stack pointer. Most of them are single cycle operations, and the buses are 16-bit, registers are 16-bit, and then it has inbuilt constant generator so that immediate values can be read from those constant generator, which will reduce your code size. Direct memory access is inbuilt. Then word and byte addressing are available in the instruction format itself. So as we have discussed that there are registers of 16 registers. So your arithmetic and logic unit is 16-bit. However, the first 4 registers are also having other purpose like program counter, stack pointer, status register, and constant generator. If you look at the status register, though 16-bit, but out of that actually the LSB is used. First is the carry bit, 0 bit. These are the flags, negative, global interrupt. And as you can see in the dotted portion, which indicate the operating mode of the MSP 430. Like you can see, you can switch off the CPU by setting the CPU off. Oscillator can be off by setting this block. And SC0, SCG1, these are the bits which will select the clock source. And V is the overflow bit. So the registers like program counter can be programmed by using instructions like move and hash will indicate the value. So directly program counter will make a branch to the memory location whose address is specified by this, or the address is branched to the address contained in the label, or you can specify a indirect addressing mode where the address is there in R14 register. So at the rate R14, the contents will be branched specified by R14 register. Similarly, the stack pointer. Stack pointer, as you can see the instructions where the move 2 comma SP to R6. That means load the contents of the R6 register whose address is specified by stack pointer plus 2 locations, or move R7 comma 0 comma SP. That means overwrite the top of the stack with the contents of the R7. You can also use the push and pop operations so that it will push the contents of this on top of the stack and or pop the contents from the top of the stack into R8 register. So stack pointer is taken care by R1 register, which is decrement, pre-decrement, and post-increment scheme. Status register, which is R2 register, as we have discussed, that this is carry flag, zero flag, negative, global interrupt, CPU on and off, oscillator on and off, then the clock source and the overflow. So as discussed, the SC0, SCG1, system clock generator. So if this bit is 1, turns off the SM clock, and if this bit is 0, when set, turns off the DCO, DC generator. So that is how you can choose which clock generator you want to make it on and off. Similarly, oscillator off. So this bit when set turns off the low frequency crystal oscillator. And if this CPU off flag, this bit is set, turns off the CPU itself. And all the interrupts which are having a global interrupt, so this bit has to be set if you want to accept any one of the peripherals interrupt source, which are all maskable interrupts. And traditionally we have used in every controller like carry flag, zero flag, negative and overflow flag. Based on your arithmetic and logical operations, these flags will be set or clear. And constant generator registers like R2 and R3 can hold the constant values like 4, 8, 0, 1, 2 or FFFF based on the application. So there are some emulated instructions generally used by some assemblers, so that though actual instructions are 27, but these 24 emulated instructions are equivalent to the existing basic instructions. So even if you execute emulated instruction, in turn they will be converted into basic instructions by using the assembler. Say for example, you can look at the 27 instructions. Here you have a add instruction. So when you say add instruction, if you don't specify in bracket, then that means add operation is a 16-bit. But if you specify in bracket dot b, that means you want to implement a byte by byte arithmetic operation. Similarly, you can see BIC instruction, that is bit clear, BIS, that is bit set. So instead of using BIC and BIS, you can use the emulator instructions. So emulator instruction means like you can say clear the carry, set the carry. So that means those instructions are converted into this BIC and BIS instructions. So that is the meaning of emulated instructions. Emulated instruction means user-friendly instructions, which the user can write the instructions, but the assembler in turn will convert them into its equivalent form of the microcontroller's instruction set. So in summary about the memory model of MSP430 controller, as you can see, the total addressing capacity of MSP430 is 16 bits, so 2 raised to 16, 64 kilobytes of continuous memory mapping. Same memory is used either for the data or for the peripherals. And programming the flash or RAM, there is no restrictions, as you can see from the memory map. Your starting from 0000 to 1FFF is for your peripheral SFRs, then the RAM is starting from 0 to 00 location. Bootstrap loader, which is the program meant for loading the application programs from the outside world like personal computers into the flash memory of the controller, is taken care by the bootstrap loader. And then there is a flash memory, and from 04000 location on 4000 location onwards to FFFFF is the flash memory. So the last table is meant for interrupt vector table. So this is how the memory mapping and IO mapping of the microcontroller of MSP works. It doesn't differentiate between the memory space and IO space. Everything comes under the memory space. In the memory organization, as we have discussed, if you see the address, the starting location from 002 FF is meant for 8-bit peripherals and SFRs, and 16-bit peripherals which are starting from 1002 to 200 memory location. While accessing byte by byte, as you can see, the even address lower byte will be there, or address the higher byte will be there from the 8-bit memory locations. So you can fetch the data 16-bit at a time, but however from the memory, the LSB and MSB is stored in different locations. So before we go for the tools which are meant for writing the programs of MSP430 microcontroller, first beginning of any program is selection of the oscillator. So the master oscillator, main system oscillator, which is meant for the CPU, one has to choose first. So that oscillator, either it must be coming from the low frequency crystal oscillator, as can be seen 32.768 kilohertz, act as a auxiliary clock or a peripheral clock. So this can be a clock source, or the internal oscillator, which is a DCO, digitally controlled oscillator, can be used as a clock source for your master clock or main system clock, and peripheral subsystem clock also can be done with the help of the DCO. So this master clock, however, can be from XT2 crystal, which is a high frequency crystal. So 8 megahertz in MSP 43168, you can connect it. So the first instruction of any program is selection of a clock source. So that entire program works based on this clock source. So just to begin with, for any controller, one has to understand the IO ports, because most of the applications make use of the IO ports. So these IO ports have multiple functions, but just to begin with, we are talking about the IO ports which are meant for simple input output operations. So there are 6 IO ports are there in MSP 430 microcontroller. Each is having 8 input output lines. So you can configure them either input, or you can make them as a output. But the most unique feature of MSP 430 is port 1 and port 2 can be configured also as a interrupt request. So they also generate a interrupt as and when there is a change of state on the particular pin is detected. So that is a sensitivity of the pin can be programmable. Now you can see the uh, SFRs are the control registers of IO ports of the microcontroller. Every port has these many registers. As we have discussed earlier, first is the function select register, P select. So this register, again, as you can see, for every IO line, there is a corresponding bit D0 to D7. So these are all 8-bit registers. So this register will decide the functionality of the pin, whether it is a simple input output line, or it is having the special function as specified by that particular port pin. And then, as you can see, the in yellow color, these registers are meant for only for port 1 and port 2, not for other ports. So these are the 3 registers meant for interrupts. So like interrupt edge select register, interrupt enable register, interrupt flag register. So interrupt edge select register will decide the sensitivity of the pin on what status, on raising edge or falling edge or change of state, on what status the pin should detect the interrupt is programmable with the help of IES register. Then interrupt enable register, that means, do you want to accept the interrupt, do you want to generate the interrupt, then accordingly you have to enable this register. Then interrupt flag register will set the flag whenever a corresponding interrupt is generated. So this is meant for only for port 1 and port 2 of the microcontroller. The other registers are which are there for all the ports, that is a data direction register, out register and in register. DIR register will decide the direction of the pin, whether this pin is output or whether this pin is input. So similarly, out register. So whatever you write in this register, that data will be available on the pin. Similarly, in register, whatever is the data there on the pin is loaded into this register so that you can read the data from this register. So for write operation, we use out register. For read operation, we use in register. For direction of the data, we use the DIR pin, and this pin we are using as a input output or any special function is decided by the function select register. In case of input output, if you want to use the interrupts for port 1 and port 2, these 3 registers, yellow colored registers, are used for interrupt enable, sensitivity of the pin, and to read the status of the interrupt. So most of the projects make use of the ports. So just to begin with, instead of talking about other peripherals of the MSP 430 microcontroller, we should concentrate only the clock source of the MSP 430 microcontroller, various modes of operation, and the pins, that is input output pins of the microcontroller, so that how one can program the pins. So once you understand at least these control registers of MSP 430 as a clock source point of view, as a input output point of view, then one should start writing the programs first. That is a programming environment, either using some Windows environment or using Linux environment, and then you can use the tool set for writing a assembly language programs or C programs which can perform some arithmetic or logical operations, or can make use of the input output lines. Then later on you can, based on your application, you can make use of other peripherals like